What if I told you everything could change with a little light? Or rather, a large one. The 2021 Sacramento Kings finished as a lottery team, 12th in the West, with a record of 30-52. While the season had high expectations for the playoffs, the Kings did not reach them. But they didn't decide to blow it up. They made moves to get better. The Kings shocked the NBA community and traded away a top young prospect in Tyrese Halliburton. Halliburton, packaged with some other players, landed the Kings Domantas Sabonis as the main big addition. Sabonis is a proven NBA talent who plays at an all-star level. This was clearly a win-now move, but the question was, are the Sacramento Kings truly ready to win now? At the time, a lot of people thought this was a bad trade. People didn't believe Sabonis was the piece to really push this team over the edge as a contender, and a lot of people thought the price of Halliburton was just really steep. A lot of people are really high on Halliburton right now, and it seems pretty warranted seeing how great he's been doing in Indiana. So what happened next for the Kings? The Kings later hired Mike Brown as the new head coach, which seemed like a great fit to give this organization a new look that they desperately needed. Mike Brown is an energetic guy who has been a great assistant over the years. It just seemed like if somebody was going to make this thing work, he'd have a pretty good chance of winning over this locker room and changing the culture. Next, the Kings weren't done. They made some off-season moves, trading for pieces like Kevin Huerter and drafting Keegan Murray 4th overall. Huerter added much-needed shooting and is a great spacer for someone like De'Aaron Fox, who really just wants to play with pace and needs shooters around him. Keegan Murray also seemed like one of the most NBA-ready prospects with his scoring abilities. So this pick just seemed like a great plug-and-play selection for a team with playoff aspirations. They're adding a great young talent who they hope could also space the floor too, with Keegan Murray. Now with all these moves the Kings made, it's clear they were set on improving this roster. They were not going to sell off everyone and rebuild. In a sense, they kind of rebuilt things their own way. The Kings retooled this roster to be a playoff team. They just needed the pieces to come together. It felt like they finally have the pieces to make this thing work. So how do you make them all fit? Culture and community. Mike Brown is bringing the culture. The 2022 Kings are firing on all cylinders this season. But don't forget, I said culture and community. So where's the community part? Let me introduce you to the Beam Team. On October 31st, 2022, it happened. The first ever Beam was lit. The Kings beat the Charlotte Hornets on the road, and back home, a buzz was in the air. The victory beam was lit at the Golden One Center for the first time ever. The Sacramento Kings had announced they will now light a beam whenever the team wins, whether that be a home or an away game. After that first victory on October 31st, things changed for this Kings team. The team started winning, and winning, and winning some more. They even ended up going on a 7-game winning streak for the first time since the 2004 season. Currently, the team is off to their best start through 22 games since the 2004 season as well, when they started 15-7. Right now, this Kings team is sitting at 13-9 as of making this video. It's good for 5th place in the West and only 2.5 games behind the 1 seed. The Beam has given this team everything they've been missing for a long time. The Beam's main goal was said to be building a better sense of community within the fan base, and that's exactly what it's doing. This team is winning, the Beam is lighting, and the fans are loving it. The Sacramento Kings fan environment right now might be the most electric fan environment going on in the NBA, maybe even throughout all other sports. The Beam is what's changed it all. Just look at how the fans act outside the stadium after a Kings win. I've been to a decent amount of games in person, and once the game's over, whether it's a win or lose, it just kind of feels like I leave the stadium and that's it. Yeah, I might be happy if the team won, or I might be sad for a little bit, but by the time I'm out of that stadium, I'm sort of over it. I'm just thinking about how am I getting to where I'm trying to go. The Kings are doing something different here. You can stay in the stadium and see players hit the button to light the beam, Now that's exciting. Or you can make your way, exit the stadium, and stand outside and wait for the beam to be lit and watch it. Now that's also exciting. The beam brings excitement to a fan base that's been missing excitement for a long time. If this team didn't have the beam and their record was the same, we honestly would not be talking about them the way we are now. People would be online saying, wow, the Kings are actually pretty good, and that would just be about it. That's the end of it. But the beam has people talking about the Kings. People that wouldn't normally care about the Kings are talking about them. They have memes online. There's discussions going on. This team is getting talked about. And the Kings fans themselves are pumped up. This is exciting times for the beam and for this Kings team. If you truly think about it, what's the point in having a team that has a positive record but the fans just aren't really into it? It just makes things boring. Yeah, your team might be winning, but if it doesn't feel like that culture, that community is there, it doesn't really feel like the city's behind them. This Sacramento Kings team is playing great ball, building a culture, and they have the city behind them. I'd even argue they have more than the city behind the team, because with this beam, people are jumping on the Kings bandwagon. Yeah, I know that sounds crazy, but they are. I'm not a Kings fan, and I'm interested in the Kings right now. They're playing good basketball, and the beam is exciting. Plenty of NBA fans are rooting for the Kings. In a previous video I made my preseason predictions. I said the Kings would be good this year. Yeah, slight flex, but they're good. And while I thought they'd be good, I could have never predicted how something as simple as lighting a beam could change everything within an organization. For a franchise that felt stagnant with Vlade Divac leading the way, making trades that felt like they weren't really moving the needle, they just felt stuck. The Kings changed it all in 1 year, with culture and community. Mike Brown brought the culture, and the beam brought the community. And the community is stronger than ever. This might be one of the strongest feeling communities I've ever felt in the NBA in a long time. I mean, just the other night, Kings fans were chanting, "Light the beam" at the Clippers' home arena. Not their home, at the Clippers. If this was like 2 years ago, the thought of Kings fans out chanting somebody else in their home arena would sound ridiculous. But this is the 2022 Kings we're talking about right now. This team has a chance to be special if they can keep this momentum going. They are one of the most exciting teams in the NBA right now. Great to watch, fun team, great players. And you see clips of the fans celebrating with the beam lighting up after wins. That should just put a smile on your face. After all the years of mediocrity, Kings fans, you've earned this. The beam team is here. Let's just hope they stick around for a little while.